Hello everyone, I am Prof.P.M.Chougala, Head Department of Economics, SPM HGS Arts and Commerce College, Madhbavi. Dear students, today I am going to discuss on the structure of the Indian economy and economic reforms. These are the very important two concepts which I am going to discuss today. First of all, we will focus on structure of the Indian economy. Okay. Friends, here Indian economy is comprised of three main sectors, which the primary sector, secondary sector and territory sectors. The economic activities of our country are spread over these sectors. And then, as you know that the Indian economy, it is a composition of three sectors. Like this, suppose I will put forth in front of you people, that is the sectors of Indian economy, which classified into three categories. That is the primary sector. The primary sector, which includes, for example, agriculture sector, agriculture and dairy, fisheries or fishing, and then forestry. These were some important, and also the mining, got it. And then the secondary sector, which includes, that is manufacturing and industries activities. Also it includes the small industries and micro industries, medium scale enterprises, large scale enterprises. These were all industrial production processes or comes under the secondary sector. And then the territorial sector, that is the service sector also, which includes, that is the transportation and various types of the services from like the banking sector services, insurance and services from the lawyers, engineers, doctors, teachers. So many services are comes under this category. Okay. So it is also important that to understand how much people depends on which sector, and what is the sectoral contribution to national income. Let us focus on this diagram, which shows that you people the structure of Indian economy. Suppose the primary sector, secondary sector and the territory sector. And you know that the primary sector, which includes, that is this sector includes agriculture, mining, dairy, animal husbandry, forestry, agriculture and other allied agro related activities. Okay. And as per 2013-14 data, in this primary sector 49% of population engaged, but its contribution to national income was only 14%. Got it? Remember this data. And then in secondary sector, it includes all types of manufacturing units, micro, small, medium and large scale industries. And as per 2013-14 data, in industrial or in India, in a secondary sector, that is 24% of population engaged, but its contribution to national income, it was only 26%, only 26%. Okay. So keep this data into mind. And then in territory sector or the in service sector, this sector includes all types of services. Got it? And then like the banking, insurance, transportation, medical services from the engineers, lawyers, teachers likewise. And then as per 2013-14 data in India, in secondary sector 27% of population engaged. How much? 27% of population engaged, and its contribution to national income was 60%. 60%. So as compared to the primary sector, and secondary sector, the territorial sector's contribution to national income was very high, very high. And also the dependency rate as compared to these two sectors, as compared to the contribution ratio, it is less, it is less. Suppose consider 49% of the people in 2013-14 engaged in agriculture sector or the primary sector, the contribution was only 14%. It is very lesser amount of the contribution to the uh, national income. And whereas in case of the secondary sector, there was 27% of the population which engaged in secondary sector or industrial sector, and contribution to the secondary sector, that was 26%, and 27% of the population engaged in territorial sector, contribution to national income, that was 60%. So why I am focusing very much on this aspect? Because more number of the population which depends in primary sector, but contribution made very lesser, and also the industrial sector not interested by the Indian people, it not so happen. Because if the same tendency will be continue, then what will be happen in future days? India will be dependent country on any other foreign countries. That is why we have to be consider these two aspects very seriously, and this is it is not a permanent solution to Indian economy, because it is only the temporary in order. Because the service sector, it is booms, or it is provides more number of revenue or more amount of revenue to national income when the employment generation or employment opportunities are high. But when the recession starts, or when unemployment situation is going upwards, at that moment what will be happen? The thing will become very inverse. That is why we have to be boost these two sectors, that is primary sector and secondary sector. Especially in secondary sector, the population is to be it means not increased, dependency rate is to be increased, and productivity rate also increased, and the courageful investors is to be the what you call the promoted from at the side of the government and at the side of the localized people. It leads to what happens? The secondary sector improves, and the secondary sector improves. Ultimately what will be happen? The primary sector also improves its productivity and production, and thereby the territorial sector also improves. That is why it is one of the most important discussing aspect. And let we will move next aspect, that is the economic reforms and economic development. Yes, the economic reforms and economic development. Suppose you know that in India, on July 23rd, 1991, India launched a process of economic reforms in response to a fiscal and balance of payments crisis. Okay, the reforms were historic and were going to change the very face and the nature of economy in the coming times. The reforms and the related programs are still going on, which changing emphasizes and dimensions. Okay, so economic reforms were introduced in the year 1991. Till then, India had adopted a policy of inward looking development strategy. The state was given the dominant role in the process of development. The economic reforms changed the strategy altogether. These reforms can be classified into broad categories. Number one is liberalization measures, and number two is macroeconomic reforms and structural adjustments under the liberalization. Okay, then here measures: industrial licensing policies as regard foreign trade and foreign investment have undergone major changes. Under the second category, a number of macroeconomic adjustments have taken place. Economic institutions have undergone major changes. Reforms have been planned in the banking sector and capital markets, especially. Under structural adjustments, reforms have been introduced in the field like subsidies, public sector, etc. Thus, reforms aimed at all round opening up of the country's economy. Efforts are also made to integrate the Indian economy with the world economy. All these measures are called the new economic policy, that is NEP. So, again the main components of the new economic policy are stated as under. We will discuss one by one. The first thing is liberalization. Liberalization is the process in which business is given free hand and is allowed to run on commercial lines. It means removing artificial government restrictions on the industry and business. There were a large number of government restrictions in India and in the area of licensing, import and export trade, dealings in foreign exchange, etc. Liberalization simply means liberalizing industries and business from government restrictions. Liberalization is contained in the delicensing policy of 1991. Okay, and next thing is the privatization. Okay, what is privatization? Privatization can be defined as the transfer of ownership or management of an enterprise from the public sector to the private sector. In other words, it is the withdrawal of the state from the industry either partially or fully. Privatization is the handling or handing over the public sector enterprises to the private sector. It is the process whereby activities or enterprises once performed or operated by the government are now transferred to the private sector. So, now it is one of the most important the booming activity in Indian economy and abroad also. Most of the countries are accepted the privatization aspect and involved in this process, because privatization provides more opportunities for the private people, and when the private people enters into the production process, thereby what happens, the production process increases and ultimately the productivity also increases and the total economic activities will become boosted. And then next thing is that globalization. What is globalization? Globalization can be defined as an increasing integration of the national economy with the world economy, or introducing the domestic economy into the world economy through the removal of barriers on international trade and capital movements. The tariff and non-tariff barriers on imports and exports are to be removed, and also restrictions on the flow of capital. The main objectives of the establishment of the World Trade Organization is to dismantle the tariff barriers and quantitative restrictions on both the exports and imports. All countries are expected to move towards free trade. Yes, and globalization can be understood as the internationalization of the economy. Okay, friends, here these are the some important aspects related to the structure of Indian economy and economic reforms and economic development. Okay friends, the it is most important aspect for the viewpoint of examination and for the viewpoint of understanding the economic phenomena. That is why I were made this lecture very compact to understand this aspect easily, and still it has more wider in discussion, needs wider discussion, and whenever needs at that moment I will be engaged on more classes for you. So if you have any questions and queries, doubts, you may comment and mail to me. And to get updated videos, please go to the subscription button, subscribe to channel, and click on bell button to receive all the notifications. Okay, and thank you for watching this video, and keep watching, and be at home, and be prepared for upcoming examinations. Thank you.